So, what do you, so you never had hypnosis before, have you?
I've never had the experience before, but ever since I was a child, it's always intrigued me.
I really don't have any expectations.
Mm-hmm.
I've always wondered what it would be like.
Well, I've always wanted to be hypnotized, and I've never tried it before.
The ideology that I have of hypnosis is probably a little skewed. It's
Sure,
probably,
that's totally normal with that.
Like what do you do? Like, what does the hypnosis do when you're asleep? Like, what does he really do? Like, there's kind of like pros and cons to it. Like, you have me in, a vulnerable state,
Right.
But you also have me in a good state, I guess.
I imagine that it's like a deep state of relaxation.
One of my high school counselors, she was taking some classes on the weekends, and I asked her to hypnotize me once. And I don't know if she really hypnotized me. I mean, she was trying her best.
Sure.
I felt relaxed.
Driving down the street, and then all of a sudden somebody says a certain word, and I just start doing all sorts of crazy things.
Yeah, those post-hypnotic suggestions?
Yeah, that's a little. That's always. It was not really like a fear. Just be like, can that really happen?
I think it'll be pretty much the same.
But of course, I've seen people be hypnotized in stage shows and that kind of thing, and it seems like it's a different piece entirely than just deep relaxation. So I'm curious.
Well, deep relaxation is part of it. Hypnosis is very simply, the really basic definition is when you relax the body and focus the mind. When those two things happen in conjunction, you kind of open up to a hyper-stressful state. The experience of hypnosis is very familiar. A lot of people realize, like, oh, I have been here. It's like very similar to when you go to sleep at night, very slowly, and you have that kind of in-between state. And hypnosis, at the very heart of it, it's all about changing behaviors and habits we've got. Why do you think it's a good thing? And whatever seems good in time, at first becomes kind of like a learned habit. It's in there, and it's hard to overcome it consciously later. It's very tricky to overdo this. And you might daydream, your mind might drift and stuff, but it doesn't mean you're out of control. It's you never lose consciousness. You're very almost hyper-aware of what goes on and what I would say to you and what you say even out loud. And Theo, at the count of 5, eyes open, alerts and awake. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Feel all right? So what do you experience? What was it like? What you expecting?
It was like, just like you said, like being in that state before you fall asleep.
Like I said, I really didn't have any set expectations for it. I really didn't know what it was really going to be about or how it was really going to do anything.
I wasn't sure if it would work with me.
You feel it did?
Yeah.
Was it what you expected?
It was more than what I expected, actually.
Sometimes you're talking to me.
Drifting a bit?
Yeah, I was all over the place trying to get back to you. And
I was kind of aware of everything, but then I kind of wasn't. Like, there were a couple times while you were talking, I lost track of what you said.
It's very in between, isn't it? It's like your mind drifts.
Wait a second. How did I miss a word?
What convinced you that it was working?
In particular, when you had me, well, I noticed it with my hand, like when you were having...
When I was raising up?
Yeah, exactly. You were suggesting that my hand raised. I was aware that I was not consciously trying to raise it at all.
Was that a surprise for you?
Yeah, I was open to it raising.
Sure.
But I wasn't conscious, and the jerking movements. I mean, it felt involuntary almost in some way, like this sort of jerking movements.
I didn't think I was actually going to touch my forehead when you suggested that I touch my forehead. I felt it twitching when it was on the desk.
On the desk, yeah.
And
I noticed that happening, which I guess there were two things going on. One, obviously I was incredibly relaxed.
Relaxation, my eyes right now, I'm still like...
Yeah, it'll take a few minutes to get out of state. What we did, just trying to recap, it gave like a little bit of an anchor to kind of like when you begin to pick your fingers or push them together, you can kind of think of that calm word. And you remember the calm word you kind of came up with, right? Gets, man.
Man, whistling is because, you know, your conscious mind is off somewhere and, you
Right.
know, I'm dealing with the subconscious, and that's exactly what happened.
It drifts.
It
so
was
much.
a lot. I mean, I got to the point where I don't know how long you were talking about this at all.
It's only, I don't know, it's probably about half an hour or so at the very most.
Really?
Maybe 20 minutes, yeah, so.
Yeah, it felt to me like maybe about 10.
Yeah.
And then when it came up and you said, it's up to you whether you want your hand to be heavy or you want it to be light. And my hand went like this.
Right, it went towards
and
your
it was
head.
shaking.
And then I noticed, in particular, going deeper when I sat here in the chair when you were suggesting the eyelids were too heavy to open.
I started touching it right away, and it was like...
Yeah, I really tried to open them, and they were extremely heavy.
It felt like Ouija board or like a magnet, like you said. And then...
I was briefly weirded out. Shit, I can't open my eyes.
No, there was a point where you completely, you know, I mean, I'm sure it was in there, but you said, excuse me, counting down the stairs, my mind started flipping channels. I was like on something completely different.
Good.
And then at one point you took me back, and I think we were back to the 5th step. That was when I first noticed. I was like, wow.
Feel relaxed?
Yeah.
Cool.
Cap time.
Yeah. So any questions for me right now about anything? Or?
No, I feel great.
Okay.
Is that the real time?
Yeah, it's like 4:30 or 3:30.
Hit my meter.
Yeah. Oh, do you need a parking meter? Or?
Yeah.
Okay. I better
My parking meter is-
let you go. And